So my buddy James and I just invested in some pretty risky cryptocurrencies.
Oh, so it's inevitable a lot of projects will be switching.
In it 10x in 2 months. I'm just gonna put all my
Pancake, are we writing down Pancake? What is up, my friends? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, this is where I discover skills and tools that help me on my personal journey of self-development. And as somebody who works in the creative industries most of the time, alternative sources of income is something I think about quite a bit. And I know for a lot of people out there, it's really important, especially when they're in development on creative projects, to take away some of that financial pressure, that pressure to monetize things quickly as you're developing. Having a couple of alternative sources of passive or active income really goes a long way. So that is why I'm making this series called Testing New Side Hustles, where I do a deep dive on a couple of alternative ways to create some passive or active income, and then hopefully that'll lead to money. So I figured I'd share that journey, and the first thing we're looking at is cryptocurrency, because we're heading into the month of April. The space is super hot right now. People are saying that April is historically a bull market for crypto. I don't see any validity in that. I don't think there is enough historical data on crypto to really claim that. But here's the thing. I overpaid my taxes a little bit, and so I got some money back from the government.
Okay, I need some deductions.
That is money that I didn't expect to have, so I'm comfortable losing it. So my buddy and I decided to place some really, really risky bets in the cryptocurrency space to see if we can 10x or even 20x our investment. And because it's kind of a fun thing, I wanted to share it with you, and maybe some of you want to do the same. If you're in a similar situation and you have some money that you're saying, you know what, this is gambling money. I do want to see if I can 10x that. So this is not to be replicated in terms of the coins we pick. It's mostly about a system that may or may not seem interesting to you, and then you can do your own research and see when you want to get into the space.
A basket of 10.
Okay.
A basket of 10 coins.
Our investment strategy is super simple. We have decided to select between 10 and 15 coins. Those are really in the lower market caps, but we might also look at some bigger ones, but basically altcoins, alternative coins that don't fall into that sort of mainstream Ethereum, Bitcoin category. Within those altcoins, we're looking at 10 different coins, and I'm going to probably invest around $100 in each. So these are smaller amounts, but the idea is that if one of those 10x's, it could make us a lot of money, but it's also a hedge to go with 10 different coins, because if one 10x's and the 9 others all go to zero, then I've still recovered my principal. So that would place us in a neutral position. So that's the idea, because
Bitcoin is going to zero.
It's a little bit like picking stocks. Some people claim they can do it. I really don't believe them. I think there are some incredible value investors out there that can beat the market on a regular basis. But for us regular folks out there, I think it is mostly throwing darts at the end of the day. I know that's going to offend a couple of people, but that's kind of my attitude going into this market in particular. I think as awesome as some of these use cases are, we want to take a very diversified approach and just see, you know, how many of those will 10x or even 5x. That'd be awesome. Even 2x would be awesome. Point is that if one of them does and the other ones all go to zero, we're still fine. And that's a very sort of a startup or I guess a VC approach, or even film finance kind of works that way, where you invest in a bunch of different projects, and if one of those does really well, they basically justify the losses in all the other ones.
Zero.
So that is what we're trying to do. The second part is that we're basing our investment choices solely off of the main influencers in the YouTube sphere. So I'm going to link to a couple of videos below, because those are the people that are doing this every single day. They're giving you regular updates. So if you're really interested in getting, you know, deeper into the crypto space, those are the people to follow. What we're checking for basically is how often are the main influencers mentioning certain smaller coins. Reason being that I can actually see right here down below how many other people have already seen this video, even within a day. And so that gives me a very strong indication that a lot of other people are looking at the exact same coins that I'm now looking at because I've seen this video. And there's really not that many large influencers out there, at least in the West. I know there's a lot going on in the Philippines, a lot going on in China, and they're using different social platforms. But at least for the Western market, YouTube's kind of the place to go in that sense. So we're gonna come up with a couple of different coins that are getting mentioned a lot, and then we're gonna see if we find some easy way to get our hands on those.
You're not doing any of this research, are you? Now you're just too busy looking at the video.
It's just, sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry, bro. I'm back in.
March 23rd, Pancake Swap NFTs.
Wait, is this seriously his opening
Yeah,
thing?
yeah. I think the quote changes it every few times.
This space is definitely gonna.
Why would he put that quote? It's being a crypto investor.
21 hours, 1 day ago.
Literally, that is the epitome of sprint, what we're doing right now. That's the epitome of sprint, not a marathon.
I don't have much of an interest in putting in any more into Bitcoin.
No, I don't think so either.
Binance.
So I've actually been in the crypto space for a really long time, like 2017. From today's perspective, my buddy and I, we were early. Of course, back in 2017, we were looking at the people who were doing it in 2012 and we're thinking, wow, they were early. But of course, now looking back at it, I wish that I had held more coins after the 2017 rally. The reason why I got into the crypto space was actually really out of genuine interest for the technology underlying it and what people were doing in the space. So I actually wrote one of the first articles on Ripple. Unfortunately, it got taken down because the company I wrote it for went out of business, but I'm actually gonna put it on Medium. I'm gonna link to it down below. I still have the article, so I'm gonna put it up on Medium. Let me know what you think. I'm just gonna mark it as being like an old article that I wrote way back. But I think that'd be cool because you'll see what my sort of sentiment and my interests were going into crypto back in 2017. And Ripple is an interesting case because I really looked at the company. I was reading every single white paper on all of these different coins that were doing their ICOs and coming out into market. And after I got burned with Ripple, I am still up on Ripple quite a bit because we were pretty early, but it really didn't, bring the kind of returns that we predicted it would. Partially because, of course, now they're under SEC investigation. So once you get into trouble with the SEC, things start looking a little bit differently.
I'm not a cat.
Point is that this really is, when you're looking at the individual companies, it's very much like startup investing, right? You can have a fantastic idea, fantastic product on hand, but if something in the team goes wrong or if some mistakes are made, the whole thing might not come to fruition in the way that you think it will. So that is why this time around, we're taking a completely different approach and we're calling this Two Idiots Invest in Altcoin, because I really believe, as much as I respect the people that are out there really researching these companies and looking at the white papers and seeing what the long-term implications may be, I do believe that for now, this market, this rally that we're seeing right now has very little to do with fundamentals. I think it really is mostly about speculation and where people think the markets are going. So I am holding, or I have held ever since 2017. I've held some Bitcoin, I've held some Ethereum because I think Bitcoin will be very widely available to everybody. It already is to some extent, but right now I think only 1% of the world is kind of connected or invested in crypto. A very small amount of people have money in crypto in the grand scheme of things. And I think that will change. I think that'll go up big time. Bitcoin's the obvious suspect for the one that's going to get adopted, but Ethereum also, because Ethereum powers all of these smaller coins, all of these altcoins, these alternative coins that we're looking at today. That's why Ethereum, I think, is really interesting, because it is a little bit like the browsers to the internet. So the internet exists on its own, the technology, but then there is the browsers like Chrome and Safari that we use to access the internet. And so that's why those two, I think, will be around in the long run. When it comes to these smaller altcoins that we're looking at, that really have the potential to 10x or 20x really quickly, it's harder. I think it's harder to make the case that these are going to be around in the long run. This is really about just making a little bit of money while this market is hot, and that's what we're trying to do. And so if you're interested in this, hopefully this will provide some value of sorts and hopefully some entertainment, because there are some crazy coins out there.
Cake
So
token.
Uniswap version 3 being a bit of a ways out, I'm actually bullish on PancakeSwap's Cake token. So PancakeSwap uses the Binance Smart Chain, and the transaction
Pancake.
I mean, shopping's still pretty much at the top of it.
Fuck me, dude. Like, look at that. January, $9. Got to $165.
That's a lot. That's a 16 times increase.
A lot of money.
Is there any altcoin that has lost money in between the 1st of January and now? Is there any coin on the entire market?
I'm
that has
sure,
not
but
gone up?
not that we'd be able to find easily.
I'm partially terrified of this.
Me too.
So, as you can see, after some very sophisticated debate and some very solid financial analysis, we've come up with the following set of coins. Let's check it out. We have OXT, that's Orchid. We have Uniswap, we have StormX, Super, REQ, Engine, TVK, Chili's, AVAX. I have never heard of any of those. Eternity, Ecomi, GODB, SRK. This is absolutely crazy. This is a lot of fun because these are all companies out there. These are all people that are doing incredible things in the crypto sphere, but they're just still very small. And some of those actually are a little bit bigger. So some of those are inching up on the coin market cap rank. Some of those have had some rallies in the past, but some of those influencers that we watch seem to be convinced that they are only just taking off. So the key with those is that they're available across a range of different exchanges. So 2 of those are available on Coinbase. So those are already kind of mainstream from a market perspective. And then a lot of those are available on Binance. So since I'm in Canada, I do have access to Binance. So the alternative for those is really Uniswap. These last 4 here, they are available on Uniswap. So Uniswap's really interesting because it is that decentralized market that everybody's talking about. PancakeSwap is a strong alternative, apparently. So we're watching them. We're watching PancakeSwap, we're watching HBAR and Matic, and we're also watching shopping.io, which actually has a really interesting use case. So I know I said before I'm not looking at the use cases, but some of those here just happen to have some really interesting use cases. Like shopping.io is there to basically, it's going to give you discounts when you're shopping for items like on Amazon or Walmart or eBay. Using that token to shop for those items, it's going to give you huge discounts on those items. So that's a really solid use case, and I think a lot of people are excited about it because it's kind of a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you use that token to buy those items if you've got such good discounts on it? So it's one that's really hot and debated a lot right now. And it just also happens to have good use cases. Engine is another one. So Engine's a gaming coin, and Engine is really interesting because it's had a bit of a rally, and it's probably going to continue, partially because we really believe that gaming is not going to go down in volume in terms of interest, especially with the pandemic. There's going to be a continued surge in gaming, we believe. So that's why a lot of people are watching that one. Right now, we're holding Uniswap because they are releasing this version 3 that has been talked about quite a bit. The problem with Uniswap right now is that the gas fees are so high. So those are basically like your trading fees, your transaction fees. If you know the details of what's going on technically here, I know you're gonna rip me apart, but that's my basic understanding of this, is that these gas fees are too high. It costs too much to do transactions on there. It can be anywhere between like 30 and 50 bucks sometimes. So if you're only putting in a little bit of money, like 85 bucks that I'm putting in here, that's crazy. I'm not gonna pay 50 bucks to execute an $85 investment. So that's why we're holding a bit of Uniswap, because they've announced this new version that's apparently going to drastically lower those fees. And for all the people that don't have access to Binance, that's really going to open up investment opportunities in those smaller coins. And so hopefully then by the time that happens, a lot of people will flood into the market and we're going to see some of those good returns. So we're using MetaMask to tap into some of those Uniswap coins, and Exodus as a backup wallet as well. So those are the 2 ones that we've decided on. Wallets is a really big thing. That's where it becomes scary, because when you're dealing with coins like this, whereas before I was dealing mostly in some of the bigger coins, so it's really easy, you just hold them on Coinbase, it's fairly secure and easy interface. Now we're going a lot deeper into the internet. It becomes a lot more Wild West out there, because you know, if you make a mistake with any of those wallets, your Ether's probably going to be gone. That's the situation we find ourselves in, and apparently MetaMask is a pretty good choice. Not the most secure out there, but in terms of easy to use interface and access to Uniswap, that seems to be the one to go with, so we're going with that one. So I finished all of the orders on Binance, and here you can see the ones that I ended up buying. It's a pretty good start. Let's see where they're going. I'm intending to just watch those over the course of April. 2 things that I did do. One, I staked a little bit of AVAX, so Avalanche. On Binance, there's this option to stake a little bit of your coins for liquidity. So they reward you with high interest rates in return for staking your coins. Right now on Binance, I think they're mostly offering you 30 or 60 days. So I just wanted to test this out because it's something I've heard about. I've never done it before. So I've locked those up for 30 days. It means I can't touch them. I'm gonna get a little bit of a return on it. I put so little money in it that it's really not gonna matter much. But it's just something I wanna test out, because if it's valid, if there is some potential there, I might do this a little bit more for passive income. That being said, of course, it's highly risky, because if you're doing this stuff with like a major bank, usually if something goes wrong, the government will kind of guarantee your principal, or you know, there is some backup options in terms of being able to recover your money. I'm pretty sure that if something goes wrong on Binance, I'm never going to see that money again, but that's okay. That's why this really, I want to reiterate this. This is really risky, okay? This is as close to gambling as it can get. But I think, unlike a casino, there is some, first of all, the upside is bigger, and there is a lot of momentum in this market right now. So it's really interesting to get into it right now. Like I said, I don't buy into the whole historical data thing with bull markets, but I think there's a strong case to be made that as a lot more people are getting their stimulus checks, and as a lot more people are going to get a little bit of tax returns coming in, that is money that's ultimately going to go either into stocks or I hope into crypto. The other thing I did was to implement limit sell orders on all of those coins on Binance. And what I did is I put these orders in for double the price from which I bought it at and selling 50% of what I'm holding for each coin. Meaning that once a coin doubles in value, so 2x's, the limit order should automatically sell half of the amount of coins that I own for each of those assets. So in that case, I would have my principal back and I'm now playing with house money. So that's really, really important because it allows me to limit my downside. If there's a quick spike in some of these coins, but it's only temporary, then at least I'm pulling out my initial investment. And if those then subsequently go to zero, I'm not losing anything and I can still profit from the full 10x upside if one of those actually happens in like, you know, coin 1, 2, and 3, and I'm not as negatively affected by some of these other ones that might incur some pretty bad losses. And so it might seem a little bit weird that I'm making this video and putting it out there if it's such a risky thing and not applicable to everybody. But I just don't see a lot of people with a very honest, balanced approach talking about crypto on the internet. And so I'm hoping maybe I can fill in some of those gaps where I really do see the incredible potential for this technology and the beautiful upside of these investments. But I think it's important to call it out for what it is right now. It's just a very, very speculative market. And so it really is right now just a wonderful tool to make a lot of money, but with the implicit understanding that all that money could disappear in a second. And that's really, really important. Don't invest any money that you cannot afford to lose. I haven't decided yet. Maybe I'm going to put this out now and then put an update at the end of April, or maybe I'm just going to clump it all into one video, yet to be decided. But for now, I got to finish these Uniswap trades and I'll see you real soon.
If any of these except SRK go to zero and we're still in the position, I will never touch crypto again.
Never.
Never.
Okay. This is now on the internet.